Change. The word alone can be challenging. How do we get started? Where will the change lead? Don't sit there and worry about it. Be the change. Welcome to Be the Change Radio. Host Kristina Bloom has been a professional psychic and spiritual advisor for 20 years, offering psychic and mediumship readings for individuals and groups. She also teaches several classes in psychic development and metaphysics. In addition, she is an author who has published 2 books so far and is the co-owner of Moonbow Publications and Productions, LLC. Are you ready for that change now? Here is your host of Be the Change Radio, Kristina Bloom.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Be the Change Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Bloom, and you are listening to us on WLTKDB.com. Let's Talk Radio. I am here with my co-host for the month of May, Matt Anderson. Welcome, Matt. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And I wanted to just jump. We already had people in the chat room before we went on the air. Like, you guys are the best. So I just want to acknowledge and say hi to Keith, Melanie, Lee, Mary, and Resnick. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being here. I have a few announcements. Well, probably more than a few announcements, but Matt is my co-host for the month of May because we are doing Medical May, and Matt is a doctor, and he's got some connections, and we are bringing on some people to talk about some very interesting topics. And today's topic is going to be a lot of fun, but we'll get to that in a minute. Our guest today is Kim Pomeroy, and she reads Akashic Records. She speaks light language, and one other thing that I can just missing. Hi, Bill. Thanks for joining us, Bill. Let's see. All right. So this coming weekend, you can catch me in La Crosse at the Radisson in La Crosse. And I will be at the psychic fair there from 10 to 5 all day. And then the following weekend is Logan Jacobson's Celebration of Life at Broadhead Manor. And there is a Facebook page for that. So if you wanted to go look up that under events, it's Logan's Celebration of Life. We're going to be really honoring Logan with all of his favorite things. So we're going to be doing some Ren Fair things and some ghost hunting things. And they're even going to be running a Dungeons and Dragons game because that was a big thing for him too. So there's going to be a lot of stuff going on in his honor. Let's see, June 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I will be at Wild Blue Wander UP. It's a rustic retreat center in Linden Lake, Michigan, which is in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, for those of you who don't know what UP means. And I'm teaching a drum making retreat. There will be traditional native teachings on drums, making drums, that sort of thing, and also on dream catchers. And then you will be making your own 14-inch ceremonial drum. The cost for that weekend is $444. And after the show tonight, I will repost the event from my meetup page into Facebook. For those of you who have not seen it yet, you can go to my Facebook page and look for it later this evening. Hi, Wendy. Let's see, what else do we have here? On the 10th of June, I will be at the Marinette, Menominee, Bigfoot, and Paracon. I will be doing readings there all day, and that is at the Best Western Riverfront in Marinette, Wisconsin. It's listed Wisconsin. It's like right on the border, like Marinette, Menominee, right there on the border. And I'm really excited about doing that. That's going to be a lot of fun. And we moved the date of the Broadhead Manor fundraiser. And Bill, if I get this wrong, correct me. But at this point, it's on July 1st. So we will be having a fundraiser, and we'll be having a meeting about that soon. I'm pretty sure to get out all of the information together so that we can actually post an event about it. And then on September 22nd through the 24th. I'm having trouble reading my own handwriting. Sorry. I will be at the Great Lakes Paracon at the Haunted Glenbeulah School in Glenbeulah, Wisconsin. That's going to be another huge Paracon. And I'm loving that these buildings are being repurposed for something so really cool and fun. And I will be doing a gallery reading at that Paracon. So you can get tickets for that from their Facebook page or their website. And that is the Great Lakes Paracon in Glenbeulah, Wisconsin. All right. Oh, one more thing before Christine is going to win the best booth prize at Marinette Menominee. Yeah, because Lee's going to help me out. I usually have a pretty boring booth because I'm like, yeah, I show up, I put my cards on the table, look at a rock, it's all good. So my last announcement here is that I have a lot of openings this month for private readings via phone or video chat, and you can Facebook message me to make an appointment, or you can go through my website, kristinabloom.com/contacts-2. And that will get you to a contact page where you can send me an email and I can set you up with an appointment that way. So it's over phone or video chat. And I do have quite a few appointments after the 20th that are available. All right, Matt, your turn. Sorry, I took up a lot of time there.
No problem at all. Honored to be back. My name's Matt Anderson. I'm a physical therapist and also have Vistara Health and Wellness in Altoona, Wisconsin. I provide physical therapy services in addition to some energy work and do a combination of both. My background, I'm focused on manual therapy, treating complex pain, a lot of neck and back pain, but then also integrate that with energy work. I'm also a Reiki master. So that's what I do. And
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. And thank you again for being my co-host for this month. And I had gone in and looked at what I had sent Kim, and my brain memory, there's no memory left right now. So what we were going to talk about today is, you wrote it to me, so I'm going to let you say it because I'm not thinking.
Sure.
Sorry.
So when we had the discussion of possible topics, one thing that came up was looking at trying to be as comprehensive with health in general, and considering all contributions towards health. I mean, everybody's very familiar with traditional allopathic medicine, Western medicine approaches, and we know about Chinese medicine, also very common, very popular, well known. But sometimes there's other avenues too that can be explored that can contribute to or look deeper into some of the health issues that we face, and that's where Kim Pomeroy comes in. We'll let her introduce herself and talk about her background a little bit more. But what we're looking to discuss with Kim is some of the other possible contributions to some of the health issues that we may be experiencing, and looking at it is, are these health issues perhaps a message from a higher calling, a higher place of what we may be lacking and how it's manifesting physically? And so that's where Kim's going to share some insight.
Thank you. I could not have put it that succinctly right at this moment. Let's bring Kim out and let's talk about this, because Kim has a lot of great things to say. Welcome to the show, Kim. Welcome back.
Thank you.
It's nice to have you. All right. I'm going to let Matt start because obviously his brain is functioning far better than mine is at the moment. So
we're all in trouble. So Kim, can you tell us a little bit more just about your background and what it is that you do with your business?
Sure. So I am the owner of Indigo Waters Holistic Therapies and Retreats, and I guide people, mentor, coach them on their spiritual awakening journeys. And this is all done through the Akashic Records. I am a retired human resource director in my this life. So I also can bring that unique blend of those skills in working with people who are in trauma and conflict, both in their, I'm going to say, 3D life, and combining that with the knowledge, wisdom of the Akashic Records as they move into their higher multi-dimensions.
Kim, do you mind telling us a little bit about the the dimensions and what that means. And you mentioned the 3D and higher dimensions, something that many may have heard about, but there's a lot of different ways it's described. So if you could share a little bit, I think that'd be great to hear more.
Sure. So I like to visualize it, or help people visualize it, as a layer cake. If you can think about a 10-layer cake, and at the lower levels, it's the densest. So you think about the physical body as the third dimension, because we have height, width, and depth. Our minds, our thoughts, and our ego are in the fourth dimension. As we go into 10 dimensions, which is all part of quantum physics, those dimensions are lighter. So the Akashic Records exist in the fifth dimension. So that's what I'm tapping into when basically for everything I do. I'm also connected to them right now. And so we go visualizing that layer cake, we go up those layers, or up those dimensions. And we originally started 10th dimensional from source energy, coming into these dense physical bodies. It's visualizing that layer cake as a way for us to wrap our human brain around this concept of consciousness that's very complex. So these different dimensions, like seventh, eighth dimension, we're thinking about, the beings of light and the angels and these other high vibrational spirits.
Excellent. That was a really good explanation. Thank you. It's sometimes I have trouble too explaining the multidimensional thing, because you have to kind of hit the visual people and the non-visual people. And, when it comes to food, everybody gets what a layer cake is. So that's a really good description. I just wanted to say hi to Jamie Lynn, Courtney, and Robin. I know Jamie Lynn's already come and gone. Lee, now I want cake. Can always count on Lee for comedy. She's awesome. I just want to make sure we haven't missed anybody. Wendy. Hi, Wendy. So thank you, everyone, for being here. And Courtney's making a cake. This is a great analogy we have going on here.
Always chocolate, the way I see
it. So how can someone, by accessing their Akashic Records, or having you access their Akashic Records, how can that help with alleviating a physical issue?
That's a great question. So all of this came to me through my own personal work and journey through the Akashic Records, and my own unique record, and trying to, discover some of the issues that I was dealing with personally, and also being guided to certain things that kept showing up for me, like the concept, or the concept of somatics and somatic healing. And I went on this journey of really learning about that, which really is soma is a Greek word for body. So this is about mind-body connection. So in addition to the soul realignment work that I do in the records, I started exploring the possibility, because that is a realm of infinite wisdom and possibilities. I started going into people's records that I was working with, and asking about the trapped emotions, the unprocessed trapped emotions that they may be experiencing, whether it's in this lifetime or past lives. And through that, discovering what the certain emotions were, what the energies were, whether they were running certain programs that were affecting them, blocking them. And then I developed my own technique, basically, called somatic quantum healing. And it's just a blend of all of the different techniques that I use in the work that I do, in helping people uncover those trapped emotions, learn about how they occurred, and then be able to do the release work, which there's many different ways of doing that. and I tailor that to the specific person's situation, whether I'm working with them in person or maybe in a group setting. And so it's really individualized.
Okay. Wow. That sounds great. That sounds great. Hi, Jessica. Welcome to the show. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments, and we'll make sure that we get the questions popped up on the screen so that we can get those answered. Matt, you look like you were going to say something and I jumped in. Sorry.
No, absolutely. Kim, can you talk a little bit more about what the Akashic Records are for those that may not be as familiar? What they are, what it means, how is it used? How can it be of service to us?
Absolutely.
Can I answer this question? Facebook user, I see you, but I don't see your name. Sorry. Go ahead. It was in the comments, so I wanted to make sure we got to that. Go ahead, Kim.
The Akashic Records are ancient. They've been around for forever, really. They're referred to, for instance, in the Bible as the Book of Life. Many other spiritual practices and even religions refer to these soul records. And so they exist in the fifth dimension. So this is an etheric dimension. And Akash is a Sanskrit word for the ether. So I like to explain them. Think about an energetic database. And this is a database that contains all of the thoughts, words, deeds, everything about every soul that ever existed, past, present, and future possibilities. So as you can see, it's limitless. And so it's a wonderful spiritual tool to be able to access, and everyone has access to this. It doesn't take someone to have certain gifts. Does it take practice and shutting the monkey mind off and really developing this skill around that, like all of the intuitive work that we do? Yes, it does. But everybody has access to this. And so the ways that you can work with it are, it's limitless. You can ask so many different questions. I will say it does take some training and practice on how to ask questions, because if you don't do it a certain way, you're likely to get very kind of scattered, elusive type of information.
That makes sense. One of our listeners had a question for you. How many lives have you chosen to experience so far?
6 lifetimes.
Really?
Yes. 6
Wow, I thought it would have been a lot more than that.
No, so I come from this with, and this is just my journey and my opinion, I guess I'll say, is, there's a lot of different viewpoints on how many lives we've experienced. Some say thousands. My take on it is, if we're divine creators and we are source energy, the concept of thousands of lifetimes where we are doing these lessons over and over again, it doesn't make logical sense to me that it would take that many lifetimes to get it. And so the Akashic Records doesn't, linear time doesn't exist in the Akashic Records.
Right.
And so my frame of reference is more of a lifetime. And then in the work I do, you also get soul stories. So it tells you, how did you create these patterns that are blocking you over the lifetimes? And oftentimes those soul stories will then give you clues into, maybe like the era or, the geographical location. You can kind of figure out timelines from that soul story.
Okay. Here's another question. Are the Akashic Records only Earth lives? And she knows she didn't spell it right, so it's okay. It's all good.
Yeah. So it's any soul that ever existed, past, present, and future. So the work that I do is specific to the human experience. And when you think about the concept of souls, there's animals, there's many different types of souls. So I think that there are, let me just look at her question here. Only Earth lives. No, I'm thinking about some of the information that I'm able to give people as their soul group of origination. So this would be where their soul originated after creation from source energy. And some travel to certain planets, star systems, galaxies, parallel universes before they come into the earthly human experience.
Okay, so the short answer is no, not just Earth lives, which is awesome. I would definitely agree with that. So, Matt, do you have any input on this topic?
This is a topic that actually is fairly new to me, and Kim has actually been the one that I go to with questions on this. She has
Awesome.
taught a course on Akashic Records that I took, I think it was last summer sometime. That was interesting to learn a little bit more about it. A question that I have for you, Kim, is how can the Akashic Records help us? How can accessing this be of service in our daily lives?
So some of the questions, I mean, the questions are limitless, but what I often, people often want to know are things like, what is my purpose? Why am I in this relationship? Are we soulmates? Have we had other lifetimes together? Things about career. So it really is about any life aspect that you have questions about, that you're curious about. And so it can be used for guiding you. The records, the masters, teachers, and loved ones, the guardians of the records, are not going to give you a step-by-step process on how to manifest a business or how to win the lottery. It's guidance, and it always is coming from this energy of unconditional love. So it's very empowering, very loving type of guidance that you'll receive.
I love that. I love that. Keith wants to know, how do you decide what you need to heal first, the body or the soul?
So that's a great question. I bet he's divine wisdom. That's a divine wisdom question.
It is.
I love it. So the soul is pure source energy. And the soul can experience soul loss, which is part of extreme trauma from past lives, usually, because there were really no controls in those lifetimes. So there can be soul loss, but the soul is really pure source energy. And so in terms of what we heal first, I'm going to take this back to, in my opinion, starting with looking at soul realignment, because that's going to look at not only your soul blueprint so that you can understand who you are at soul level, which never changes no matter what incarnation you're in, but it's also going to show you the different blocks and karmic patterns that need to be cleared so that you can fully step into that life that you want to create as a divine creator. Now, having said that, when there's body, like physical issues that are also preventing you, that's something that I, through the somatic quantum healing, I incorporate that into soul realignment. So you're learning both, really. I don't know that there's one over the other. It's holistic. It's multidimensional. It's everything is one. So I'm not sure how you could put a priority on that.
I would completely agree with you. And very often when you heal one, the other also gets the healing. And it's not just body and soul. It's also mind. It's also heart. It's also, and I don't mean like the physical heart. I mean like emotional, right? So you heal one, it's all connected.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
One thing I can add as from the perspective of a healthcare provider is that, as you said, Kim, there's this multidimensional aspect in which all are integrated and all are essential for the totality of health. The physical body is very much a tangible thing with that we are all very intimately connected and aware of. And when it comes to our physical health, oftentimes that takes precedent of all else over many other things. It's hard to ignore a significant medical issue within our physical bodies. They tend to, the message is received very loud and clear, and if not, it gets louder and more clear.
Yes.
And so,
yes, it does.
yes, and I think many of us can
Yes.
attest to that.
Yes.
So one of the things that I find is that sometimes it's a bit of a tug of war, and what's pulling the hardest, what's making the most noise. And sometimes you need to start there to then get the perspective and clarity to allow you to go deeper. And that's certainly where modern medicine has much to offer in terms of urgent care or things that are more acute. And then even in things that are more not so emergent, so to speak, but symptoms that are really distracting or really interfering with our daily lives. We do have access to a lot of very powerful tools that can help us manage that and at least give us a solid base to work from, where we can go deeper into what is this message? Is it a message? What is it? What's causing it? Where is this coming from? And then to have that clarity, to have that ability to focus, to work through that, and especially when it's something that isn't responding or you see it as a recurrent pattern. That's where I find this work in these other avenues fascinating, to see what are we missing, and could this give us some insight of what else to be looking at, where we're only getting part of the message.
Yeah, I've always said allopathy has the best diagnostic tools, at least what we have available to us now, because they have more tests, they have more machinery. If you're looking at an X-ray as opposed to feeling it and getting a picture visually, it's easier to look at an X-ray, right? So
easy,
yeah.
But the challenge that we run into is that allopathic medicine, and especially the sophistication of what technology allows in imaging and all these different tests where you get objective, tangible data, much of it is taking everything in isolation.
Yeah.
We're looking at one piece of the puzzle. We're looking at a part. We're not looking at often the whole person or even the whole body. And
that's true. Yeah.
It, in many ways, it discounts the value of the whole person and the humanity and how everything's integrated and works together. And can really lead us astray into too much focus and too much emphasis on a single problem and missing the big picture.
Right. Completely agree with that. I do want to say hi to Sharon and Diane. Thank you for joining us. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. Lee has a question. Can we go back in time and live in this life now, but next life we could be in the 1300s, or do we always have in the future lives? I already know the answer, but I'm going to let you answer it.
Yeah, I'm not following that question.
Okay, so the Akashic Records have all of the information for everything, past, present, and future. In our next lifetime, could we land in the 1300s or the 1500s of our timeline?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Because it's not linear time outside of our Earth experience.
Right.
So, yeah. And my experience with the Akashic Records is that we have different experiences and we choose different lifetimes to have those different experiences. So if we want to have a certain set of experiences, we might choose to be, say, a white female in North America, or we might choose to be a black male in South Africa, or we might choose to be an ox, depending on the experience that we want to have in the lifetime. And so, it's really about the experiences that we want to have. And I've heard them called lessons a lot. And I guess that applies too. It can be lessons or experiences, whatever we want to call it or experience it. But it's what we want to experience next time might not be available in the future, but it might be available in what we would call the past. Does that make sense? I hope.
It's yeah, these concepts can be mind-blowing sometimes.
Yeah. I don't know that Sharon was here when you explained this at the beginning, but how do you go into the records?
Mm-hmm. There's many different ways that you can go into the records. Some teach it by a certain prayer. Some do it through a meditation process. And I have developed my own technique, which includes, you always want to ground and center yourself, dropping into the heart space. And I have a specific, I wouldn't say, it's like a mantra. And then I feel that vibrational shift throughout my body. And then certain questions that I ask, I use certain protocols to make sure that I am accessing the correct soul that I'm working with, and also that there are not certain blocks to truth, and making sure they're positive souls. You can't read for negative souls. Fortunately, there's not a whole lot of them. But yeah, I have a specific way that I've developed for myself.
Okay, that's a great answer. All right, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about what Courtney just posted here, because I think this is absolutely fascinating. Simultaneously existing. So having multiple lives simultaneously. So we will come back and address that when we get back.
Want to see your video here? Sponsor WLTK DB Talk Radio and watch us make that happen. With your paid sponsorship of $80, you receive a professional produced audio, video, and banner placement on our station. Not only does your sponsorship air during our live shows, but also replayed on our podcast and heard by hundreds of like-minded people. Visit WLTKDB.com to get started and find out just how hard we work to get you noticed.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. You're listening to Be the Change on WLTKDB.com. Let's Talk Radio. I'm your host, Kristina Bloom, and my co-host is Matt Anderson. And our guest today is Kim Pomeroy. And we are talking about the Akashic Records and how we can use the Akashic Records to heal multiple aspects of our life. So right before we went to break, one of our listeners posted in the chat room simultaneously existing. And I'm assuming that that means that we are living multiple lifetimes simultaneously in different time frames, in different, maybe on different planets and different solar systems. We might even be living in multiple different time frames on Earth as different people in different years, or maybe just even a half a second off of each other. So who wants to run with that one?
I think Kim should. That's an
And
area.
crickets, yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly. Now that's an area I struggle with. It's a tough one to wrap my mind around. It's very conceptual, and
Mhm.
being trained in the scientific method, I need tangible, physical, something that is more concrete. Not when it doesn't exist that I discount it or dismiss it, but it's tough.
Mhm.
What's your perspective?
So they're reminding me to share that this concept of time and space is a human construct. And outside of our physical reality, this does not exist, which is why it's so hard for humans to wrap their brains around this.
Right.
And so they want to remind everyone to try to remember that um, that you are energy, and to visualize that in any way that works for you. And that energy can't be destroyed, and so it exists in everything. Um, and so I'm going to take it back to that layer cake, that 10-dimensional layer cake. And when I visualize that, then it helps me, instead of thinking of the dimensions, I think about those layer cakes as timelines. And if our souls and our body are moving in and out of these 10 timelines, or these 10 layers of the layer cake, it can start to make a little bit of more sense to me. But I
Okay.
agree, it's really hard for us to really, really embody this, or, wrap our heads around it.
Right. Well, and I agree. It's a difficult concept to grasp. But I am fully aware of two other lives I'm currently living as different as not Christina. One on a different planet, one in a different. Time is the only word I can use because it's the only one that my brain will understand. But I am definitely aware of at least two other lives that I am simultaneously living. And a lot of that has happened because I've gone into the Akashic Records and
Mhm.
because I've looked in there and I've gone looking for, what is it that I need to learn right now, or what is it that I need to be paying attention to right now, and going in and looking at that information. And I do it differently than you because I'm a more concrete thinker. I need to see it written out. So for me, it's literally books written out in front of me so I can read them,
Mhm.
because that's how my brain processes information. So it is different for different people, and I fully understand that there's no wrong way to do it. But again, I'm a concrete thinker. I mean, I've got like 8 houses in Virgo or something, so I'm like so earth concrete thinker that I need to be able to see it written out. But yeah, I really appreciate the way that you do it, because I feel like you have, I don't know if clear is the word, but maybe a more direct access to more direct questions, if that makes sense. Um, but listening to how you do it, I'm fascinated by that, because if I tried to do that, I would wander off somewhere into the ethos and probably not come back for a long time.
I'm not saying I don't do that.
I also want to welcome Michelle and Nancy and Deidre to the show. Thank you all for being here. Let's see. Oh, Michelle had a question. So there we go. Do animals have Akashic records?
Yes.
Yes.
They do.
I don't think Michelle was here when you answered that earlier, actually. So um, yeah, what you said was that a soul is a soul is a soul, right? So every living thing has a soul.
Yep. And I also read for properties.
Okay.
Properties have Akashic records. Businesses have Akashic records.
Interesting. I had not thought of that. Can you expand on that?
Sure. I'll use the example of a business, and what I would do with that is the specific work I do with that is looking at the different I have to back up a minute. So I'm accessing the specific business's Akashic record, and depending on the intention of the business owner, what do they want to know from this record? And usually it's because maybe something's not going right with the business, revenue or clients, or, all the things that affect a business. And so the specifics that I'm looking at in the record is to look at all the inputs and outputs of that business and look at the energetics of it and where it's misaligned. And it's very detailed, but that can help them understand where their business has misalignments.
Oh, that's interesting. We're going to have to talk about more about that. All right. So getting more back to the topic that we were in, though, Nancy says, my health is not good currently. Can I improve my current health situation by accessing my records? And I think she would also want to ask how, because I think that's really the unspoken question here. Because that's a simple yes, no question. Can I? Well, of course you can.
Yeah.
But how do you do it?
So I have been asked in the last 6 months quite often to start teaching this, and my guides are encouraging me to do that. So that may be coming. So
if your guides encourage the way my guides encourage, you will definitely be doing it because you won't have a choice.
yeah, they're not letting up on this one.
Yeah.
So this isn't a quick and easy answer. And I'm more than happy to show people right now how I connect if time permits, or if you want to do that, or
Sure.
people can also reach out to me. But once you understand how you can connect, then it becomes understanding and learning how you ask the questions so that the information that you get is not, like all over the place. Did I answer her question?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so. Yeah.
So it would.
It's like you said, it's not really an easy question to answer. So.
Mm-hmm. So, it depends on time, but, it would take maybe 3 minutes to show.
Okay.
People.
Yeah, go ahead. Take the 3 minutes, and I'm just going to look through the other questions that people have. But go ahead and do that. Yes, please.
Okay. So I would just have the person or who I'm working with, and I do this when I'm coaching people to teach them this process, and so that they can also be in the energy while I'm coaching. But I would just have somebody, sit and relax, have their feet on the ground, and focus on that grounding energy. So maybe visualize. I love to use the tree of life as a visualization with the roots going down their legs into Mother Earth, and she just brings you into that beautiful crystalline energy, holds you in safety and security. So that's the grounding aspect. Then I would have people drop into their heart space. And this is the space that is where your physical heart is, where your heart chakra is. It's a little bit lower than that. And have them take deep breaths in, 3 deep breaths in through the nose. Releasing through the mouth. And as you exhale, drop into that heart space. And take another deep breath in through the nose, bringing that air all the way up. Release through the mouth and just really center yourself. You're preparing your body now vibrationally to go into the 5th dimension from the dense physical dimension you're in right now. One more deep breath in, relaxing, and you can visualize being on an elevator, and you're on the 3rd floor. You're going to take that elevator up to the 5th floor. If that doesn't work for you, then you can just focus on raising your vibration up into the 5th dimension. opening yourself up, calling in your spirit guide team. I call in the beings of light of the highest vibration and frequency. This is who I work with, who I channel. And also the guardians of the records, the masters, the teachers, and the loved ones. Just really pay attention to the energy moving and flowing through you. As you do this more often, you will feel that vibrational shift. And as you're entering that fifth dimension, the Akashic Records, if you're working on yourself, if you want to go into your own record, you can ask the masters, teachers, and loved ones to open your records. And they will tell you when the records are open. You may see it, sense it, hear it, or just know it. These are your clairs, the way you receive messages. And the records are now open for the collective here. Whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. You may feel lightness. Your eyes may feel a little floaty. Your head might feel a little floaty. Some people see the records. They visualize them through their clairvoyance. Some hear. Some none of that. Like I'm clairaudient. I hear and I'm claircognizant. So I just know. I don't know how I know. I just know. So you get to know that about yourself. And so now we are collectively in the Akashic Records. Everybody's there. And so to close the records, then you would just kind of reverse that process. Always give thanks, be grateful for the guidance that you received. And you can visualize if that worked for you, that elevator going from the 5th floor to the 3rd floor. Or you can just intend that energy shift happens so that you come back into the here and the now. I encourage people to just kind of rub their body to come into that 3D again, and then state the intention that the records are closed.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay. We have a lot of questions and 12 minutes. So I want to get to Keith Fletcher's question because I know that he has to leave early. So can your guide help you see the records? I think that's supposed to be during sleep.
Yes, because you astral travel during sleep. And so you're in the records when you're sleeping anyways.
Okay, great. So just set the intention before you go to sleep. And okay. Hi, Jessica. Thank you and welcome. Let's see. There was another question up here. Here we go. Does the physical body brain need rest? Sometimes I struggle with rest or sleep and wonder if it affects my health. Anybody want to take that one? Go ahead, Matt.
Sure. The answer is yes.
Yes.
It's interesting because there's a lot of disagreement among the medical community in terms of why we need sleep and what all happens. With the increased sophistication of testing, there's been a lot more knowledge gained in terms of what happens. One of the things that we lose sight of or do not appreciate is that our body, our systems, at a cellular level are constantly regenerating and replacing. So it varies by the type of cell and what type of body system, whether it be, say, skin, hair, intestine, the heart, the brain. These cells are constantly being replaced. They all have a defined lifespan. And one of the things that has been discovered in greater detail and with more evidence to support it is how much of the central nervous system, the brain and spinal cord, how much of that actually occurs when we sleep, when we're at rest. And there's not direct knowing in terms of why. One theory is just that when we're awake, we're aware of everything going on. So we're in this hyper alert response, ready to respond to what is going on. When we're sleeping, it's more a matter of essential systems only. And we're able, so we talked last week about the autonomic nervous system. You've got your fight and flight, and you've got your rest and digest. So in that rest and digest state, it allows much more increased blood flow and much more greater neurologic activity in these areas. And when we don't sleep, when we don't rest, it really does impact health as a whole. And one of the things that has been confirmed is when a person is persistently deprived of sleep long term, it's fatal. We do have to sleep. If we don't, we will. It does kill people, which is just crazy to comprehend. And there's a lot of disagreement on it, and there's a lot of different theories, and there's not a lot of concrete evidence to support it. So it's something that I think we'll continue to learn much more about in the coming years with additional study. But the short answer is, does it need rest? Yes. Both brain and body.
I know just personal experience. I don't function well if I'm not sleeping.
Mhm.
You know, I mean, how many people do you say I'm tired? I can't think straight. I think every adult I've ever known has said that. So yeah. All right. If your life is affected by a prior life, how does that show up in the Akashic Records?
So with the work that I do, part of what I am helping you to discover is how present and past life does affect your current, how past lives does affect your current life, because when we take action, make choices that go against who we are at soul level, this creates misalignment to your blueprint, your soul essence, and these create negative karmic patterns, and these are the blocks that stop you from fully stepping into your divinity or fully stepping into, creating the best life that you can, that manifestation. So they definitely have an impact on your present lifetime.
Excellent. Thank you. Let's see. We've got a few other. Good night, Keith. I'm sure you probably already signed off already, but let's see. All right. There's a lot of thank yous going on in here. So thank you for all of the information that you're sharing. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything that was. I love this. This is how I learned to understand that time is not a straight line. Was Doctor Who. Thank you for bringing that up, because I'm like, wow, I must be really. If ever, if writers on TV are understanding this, why was I not understanding this? But that really helped me, actually. Living in parallel dimensions, and here we go. I go back to the same place a lot in my dreams. Is that an indication of something in the Akashic Records?
Right now, what's coming to me is just more the astral traveling, when the soul leaves the body when we sleep. Just goes on these journeys. It is traveling in the Akashic Records, because that is just that infinite field.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my opinion of it.
Okay. Yeah, I have discovered that when I go back to the same place a lot in my dreams, I start looking deeper into it. That's when I go into the Akashic Records and I start looking more deeply into it. Why am I going back to the same place? Why am I revisiting the same thing? And I don't know if anyone else has had this experience, but it's usually right as I'm waking up or as I'm going to sleep and going in and out of a dream. But that dream feels just as real as this life here does. Do other people do that? Do you do that, Kim?
That is astral traveling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to me, it feels like I'm experiencing a different lifetime at the same time. That's what it feels like to me. which is interesting because when I'm there, I know those people. I'm part of a family. It's daily life. And then when I come back here, it's the same thing, but it's not the same people. And I don't remember their names or anything when I come back. So, yeah, it's interesting. Yeah, and sometimes you want to stay there. Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Well, this is interesting. I know we weren't specifically talking about dreams, but since we're in the Akashic field when we're dreaming, do you want to take this one, Kim?
What is that?
It says, I have been dreaming that I die in a tornado. The first one I remember is when I was 4 years old. Hi, Shell. Hi, Jody.
Yes, what they're saying to me right now is these are your soul memories coming back.
So she has in a different lifetime died in a tornado. Okay. Let's see. Keith also ends up in specific other lifetimes often. Let's see. I wanted to go back to, I can't remember what you called it. You do Akashic Records and it's right there.
Somatic quantum healing or soul?
I'm going to go back and look at the text message actually, because this is crazy. Why can I not remember these simple things here? Soul realignment. Talk to us about soul realignment, because that is fascinating.
It is fascinating. So this is what started my whole journey with the Akashic Records. And it is a specific modality that I've been trained in at all levels. And what it is I use this as an assessment tool also in my coaching program, because you learn so many things from soul realignment. It's called soul realignment because you're going to learn about your blueprint, your soul blueprint, which is who you are at soul level, your primary energy center, your gifts, your purpose, what misalignment, what alignment looks like, what your soul group is, what are the characteristics, why you do the things you do, your creation type, how you best create. And this never changes no matter what incarnation you're in. So it's really important to know this about yourself as you're moving forward and creating this life. And then it gets into all of the present and past life blocks, restrictions, the things that have become karmic patterns, negative karmic patterns for you that are stopping you in this lifetime from like really stepping forward into the life you want to create. And then you get a soul story, and the soul story will take you back to your first incarnation, usually, because that's when we start creating these patterns. And you'll understand what were the energies, the programs, how did you create it, with who? It's always going to be, usually close family members, and you're going to see that carrying on in your lifetime now. And then there's a clearing process. It's a 21-day process that I guide you through. And as a result of all of that, because this is shadow work, this is all bringing forth subconscious information. You have things that you've been working on your whole life that you just can't figure it out. And so it brings this awareness to you, these shadows. And then I developed a coaching program called Soul Reintegration Awakening, which is private and group coaching, because you do need that support to walk that journey. It can bring up it brings up the shadows. It brings up awareness of where you really need to make the deep changes, and that's not always easy to do.
That's for sure. That is for sure. Jessica wants to know, how was this discovered? And Jessica, are you referring specifically to the Akashic Records or to soul realignment? I just want to make sure we're answering the right question. And Robin says, so the dreams I've had of drowning means it really happened in a past life?
Without going specifically into that person's Akashic Records, I don't want to say yes or no,
Okay.
for sure, for certain. But I will say based on that soul memory, based on the fact that it's happening repeatedly, it is quite likely.
Okay. All right. So the Akashic Records, how were the Akashic Records discovered? Do you know? I actually don't know that. I should probably know that, but I don't.
The history of the Akashic Records is it's the Akash is a Sanskrit word, East Indian word for the ether. And this goes back to like the 1600s, I want to say. I'm losing the name of it. Sort of the study of metaphysics, and and so it's quite ancient. It is referred to in other spiritual practices, and the Bible refers to it as a book of life. That study of metaphysics is just eluding me right now. I don't remember it. I do remember the 1600s though.
Okay, cool. Well, once again, we have run over time. It happens a lot. I want to thank both of you for being here and for the expertise that you bring to the show and all of the information that you're sharing. And I want to thank everyone in the chat room who has brought in some really, really good questions tonight. Thank you all. And thank you all for listening. Next week, we have Audrey Van Way as our special guest. And I know that she specializes in Reiki and sound healing. And I fill in the blanks, Matt, because I know she has a lot of specialties.
Yeah, so Audrey's background too is has been a practicing nurse for quite a few years. So what's really interesting is she blends traditional healthcare with a lot of very progressive methods as well, from things like vibrational sound and Reiki. And then she also is a psychic intuitive medium. And so brings in spiritual messages, and just fascinating person to talk to and learn from. Wonderful teacher and has great insights. So I'm looking forward to it. I know it'll be good.
Yeah, and she has a great sense of humor too. So she's a lot of fun to talk to. So we are looking forward to that for next week. Kim, thank you so much for jumping in at the last minute. I so much appreciate that. And again, Matt, thank you for being with me all of this. And everyone says thanks for an awesome show. So, you guys are great. And I am really looking forward to next week when Matt and I will be back with Audrey Van Way. Thank you.
The truth is here and now on WLTKDB Talk Radio at WLTKDB.com.